The message that has been coming through the loudest for me today has been that we are at heaven's gates. We made it. We are at heaven's gates. Every time I start one of these videos, Murph gets very excited and he lays, this is my dog, he lays down by the back door while I'm meditating before I record. And then as soon as I start talking, he gets up and gets excited and starts running around and usually brings me his toys. Anyway. Yes, okay. We are at heaven's gate. We have made it. And another thing that is coming across today is it's very hard to breathe. Like I just feel like I cannot breathe deep enough today. My lungs feel constricted. So maybe someone is feeling trapped. Maybe somebody is feeling constricted, small. So let's just breathe into that. Let's breathe into that together. And even if you're not feeling this way, let's just breathe together for a moment. We can sync up our energy, and then I can better get in tune to this collective that's watching and speak in relevance to y'all. Okay, so let's breathe together. Let's just close our eyes, take in a deep breath, and all the way out. Let's do 3 more, following our breath pattern, following it all the way up. Watching the slight pause and then following the exhale. Let's breathe in peace. And breathing out the presence of God or the universe, source, spirit, whatever word resonates. Breathing in peace. And breathing out the presence of God. Beautiful. Okay, so we have made it. We have truly made it. We have done a really great job at anchoring these heavenly frequencies onto the planet. We're getting a round of applause. We did it. And this constriction, this tightness is coming up because it's contrasting all of the light that we have just anchored into our bodies, all of the light that we have just anchored into our own personal universes and our collective universe. And so all of this light, all of this beautiful work we have just done is now shining contrast onto the places within us where we're still limiting ourselves. The spaces within us where we are feeling stuck, where we are feeling stagnant and trapped and small. And this is a beautiful thing because while we have done it, we have successfully done it, we are standing at the gates of heaven. It's almost as if this is our final release. We're no longer playing in it. That's the thing. That's the thing. We're no longer playing in the smallness. We're no longer playing in the limitations. We have risen our frequencies high enough to where we now can simply observe the limitations. We are truly embodied in the sense that we are in a true observational state. We're no longer playing through, acting out the shadow. We're aware of our shadow. We're compassionate to our shadow side. We show ourselves grace and love and forgiveness, but we're no longer acting out these patterns. We see them, but we're no longer acting them out. So it's almost like they're all coming up to the surface one final time, which of course life is a journey. We always go back down and up and down and up, and honestly nobody has been through what we're going through right now on the planet, so we don't really know what is about to happen. We don't really know what it's going to look like. But I'm just truly feeling like heaven is here. We are there, heaven is here, we've met in the middle, and now everything's just being contrasted. That is not in alignment to heaven, not in alignment to our Christed selves. And so we are releasing, we're purging. That's why maybe you're having lots of breakouts. I've been having a ton of acne coming up, and a ton, like, random rashes. Kind of weird, but we're purging our vessel. The past 6 months, honestly, has been like a big clearing and purging, and I believe we're at the final phases. We have truly anchored what we needed to anchor, and now it's just the final breadcrumbs are being magnified so that we don't miss anything. Because it's not that you're bad if you hold on to these things. There's no bad or evil or good. It's just that you literally can't enter the frequency, the heavenly frequencies. You can't enter while you still have attachments to these breadcrumbs. So it's not even really we need to get rid of them. You don't need to get rid of your shadow self. This is the final purging, and I hate test. I hate the word test. That doesn't resonate with me. But just the final choice point for us to decide if we are truly ready to embody our Christed selves, our higher self, or if we're still going to dip down and play in these lower, shadowier aspects, or if we've learned how to truly observe it and stand in it while not reacting or responding to it. Micro and macro. So as within, so without. Just like we're being shown in the world right now, lots of shadows are being exposed, and it is our duty, if you're resonating with this video, it is our duty to hold our center, to hold the neutral point, the 0 point neutrality, to observe what is happening around the world, and to show love and grace and compassion, but to not get sucked in and reactive and angry and super opinionated. Our human opinions, there's nothing wrong with our human opinions. It's that, do you react to your human opinions from hate, from separation, or do you observe your human opinions and notice them, but know that it's not the ultimate truth of you? Notice that your human opinions get to exist and they get to be there, but so does your Christed self, so does your highest self, and your highest self is now in the driver's seat, and your highest self is staying in that neutral point with the ego, the human opinions, in the back seat, and just they're along for the ride, but they're not driving the show, right? So this is the contrast, micro and macro. So you may be having financial shadows coming up, relationship shadows coming up, inner worthiness shadows coming up. There may be a lot of shadows coming up, and there are things that you have seen play out time and time again, over and over again. It's almost like you're okay, I thought I made it. I thought we were at heaven's gates. If we're at heaven's gates, why is this still rearing its head? And it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's just simply the final echo. I was getting that word a lot yesterday. Echo, 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 echo. It's like, this is like the final echo. Who am I to say? To me, in these next couple of years, there's going to be echoes of these things. And they're not coming up because you deserve it or because there's something wrong with you. They're coming up as a choice point. Are you going to come down to its level and react externally, react internally by shaming yourself? Or are you going to stay neutral? You're going to feel the emotions, breathe into the emotions. You're not going to deny or suppress, but your frequency is elevated. Your perception is elevated to a level where you're reacting and you're responding in healed ways. You're responding in new ways. And it almost feels like we've played this level. We've been stuck at this level. We've been at this level for a while. And at first, all the monsters were like scary and challenging to defeat. And we're like, oh my God, how am I ever going to defeat this monster? It's so challenging. But now, okay, here's a good analogy if anybody plays Skyrim. It's like when I like to be the fire mage. So when you're a fire mage and you're starting off and you're like a level 1 to level 10, level 50, really fire mage, and all the monsters, and you have it on like intermediate, all the monsters are like really hard to kill because you're like a level 2 fire mage, so you have to like use so much power and so much force to kill these zombies, and I don't know what they are, like the spiders and shit that come for you. But then once you level up your fire mage to now you're like a level 100, you've gone all the way up. You're like a level 100 fire mage, but the game is still at intermediate like it was when you were level 1. So it's the same monsters popping out at you, but now you just blast it twice and it's dead. You blast it once and it's dead. That's kind of where we're at. We're still playing at the same level, but we have leveled up. So when the monsters come at us, it's a different response. We don't react in fear any longer. We can be like, oh, well, I can kill that thing real quick, so I'm going to go over here and collect my treasures from this chest, and then I'll deal with that guy in a second. So I hope anybody plays Skyrim and that made sense. That's kind of where I see us at. Is like we have leveled up our avatars, but we're still playing the same level game. And so the monsters are all the same. And so it's almost like we're completing this game and just about to go into a whole new game. We're not even going to be playing Skyrim anymore. We're going to be playing like a totally different game, but with the same level. We still keep level 100 fire mage or whatever you like to be. We still keep our level, but now we're bringing that avatar exactly as it is and then going into a higher world, a higher game where we can now level up, because I think you can only level up to 100 on, like, that's the top. You can only get to 100 or something. So now we're going into a whole nother world where now you go from 100 to 200. That's like shifting dimensional realms, shifting frequencies. Now 100 is the base point, and we can level up our avatars to 200. That's where I'm seeing where we're at. So like the monsters, the scary stuff, the shadows are still rearing their heads, but we're reacting, responding differently because we're proving to the game, like, yeah, like I kind of got this down. Like I'm ready to change games completely. I'm ready to level the game up. And that's where we're stepping into. We're stepping into a new game. And we're kind of just like at the end when we're level 100 and everything's easy and we're bored of it. Like, okay, what's next? So that's what I've been getting. Let me breathe for another second to come back to my center. Skyrim distracted me. I think it was a good analogy though. Anyway. The first shall be last and the last shall be first. that is truly the way it is, since we're all one. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. I'm not familiar with that teaching. I think I've heard that phrase a few times, but I literally woke up this morning and it was just on my mind. That was the first thing that popped into my head this morning when I woke up. As soon as I woke up, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Which is a weird thing to wake up thinking. But that's where we're at. I see us all like knobs on like a soundboard where you can like push one up and then push another up and then push, like there's like 20 knobs and you push them up to control the sound. And it's like we are each one of these sound controls, and this person moves up, and then this person over here moves up a little bit higher, and then this person moves up, and that person moves up, and we're all taking turns moving up. Someone will rest, this person will move up, and then they will move up and they'll rest, and then they'll move up and they'll rest. So it's not a race. We're all going to get there at the same time. We can't truly all return into oneness until we all return into oneness. So even if you feel as if we are reaching this Christed, elevated state of consciousness and we're leaving this all behind, that's not really the point. The point is to reach heaven and then bring heaven back down to the ones who are quote unquote below, lower knobs on the scale. And so once you really reach a Christed state and you get up to, which I'm not saying any of us are at, I don't know. Maybe we are. Maybe somebody is. I don't know. I'm just saying. And I feel like once you reach a Christed state and you're at that level, you're not going to be like, oh, suckers, y'all are all down there. Look at me. I'm one with God. It's like, no, then you'll realize like, oh shit, like there are pieces of me left behind. Like I'm not complete yet because we're all one. So everybody else down here, while you're up here in your crisis state, it doesn't feel like it's been completed yet because there's still fragments down below. So you want to bring heaven down to earth, not rise above and blast off and be better and bigger than everybody else. Rise above, gain that perspective, gain those heavenly frequencies, level up, new avatar, new level, blah, blah, blah. But then you're going to want to come back down to help the rest of humanity also rise up to that level, because we're never truly home and one with God unless everyone is home and one with God. Our collective return to God is inevitable. Nobody is getting left behind. Nobody is getting left behind. And our awakening is their awakening, and their awakening is our awakening. So I see it as like we aren't even really truly awakened until we're all awakened. You know? And just because this is our lifetime to walk this path doesn't mean the other people who have not chosen to walk this path in this lifetime are doing it wrong. They have chosen another point in time to walk this path. This is just not their lifetime for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Everyone is gaining what they came to earth to gain. Some type of lesson, some type of expansion, something. So we are all gaining something, even if it looks to our eyes like people are stuck in the 3D. And when the new earth splits off, it's just we're going to another dimension, but they're layered on top of each other. The people who are choosing to not come to the new earth are choosing to do so for a reason. Perhaps they still have more that they would wish to gain in a third dimensional realm. You know, it's a hard realm to be in because there's such contrast. And you can play in all the lower frequencies, but there's much wisdom to be gained there. I mean, why do you think we chose to come down here and play in these frequencies and experience depression and anxiety and anger and greed and fear and death? Like, we chose to come here too because our souls knew, like, what great wisdom there is to be gained from such a dense reality. There's a level of depth to our emotions that we have the capacity of experiencing that I don't believe are experienced in many other places in the universe. Universes. How many universes there are? Probably infinite. But I think Earth is a rare place where we are capable of feeling emotions to such depth, to such extremes, that our soul chose that because of the beauty in it, really. I mean, the depth of the anger that you can feel is insane. I heard this really fascinating story. I cannot for the life of me remember. There's a YouTube channel on here called Out of This World. I highly recommend going there and watching those videos. Beautiful women, 2 women channeling a bunch of higher dimensional, like they channeled Jesus at one point. I just recommend Out of This World and watching their videos. But at one point they were talking about how the earth was created by the same soul who was in another lifetime Mother Mary. I may be getting that wrong, but something like that. And in one of her first lifetimes, she was walking through the abyss as just like an energy being, and she started feeling such an intense depth of rage that she curled up in a ball. And she was feeling this rage because it was the first time she was experiencing being separate from God, her perception of her being separate from God. And she was just walking through the void for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And at one point she curled up in a ball and just let the rage consume her. And that is how the molten core of the earth was created. This soul literally created the core that began the process of the creation of earth because of the amount of rage she felt. This whole planet may not even be here if she had not sat down and let herself feel that intense rage of being separate from God. So I'm definitely butchering that story. Highly recommend going to that channel. But all of that to say that the capacity and the depth to our emotions on this planet are a gift. And we knew that when we chose to come here. So while it's really challenging and painful, it can be so painful and awful being here. I know. And this is not to discredit your feelings. This is not to I don't want to bypass anybody's emotions. Just trying to look at it all from a higher perspective of what beauty there really is. Because if we didn't have that level of depth to our, what we would view negative emotions, then we wouldn't have that big of a depth and capacity to feel love. The love energy that is possible on this planet is profound and incredible and beautiful. And from what I understand, we are one of the only places where we can feel love energy to this level. The capacity of our ability to feel love energy in our body is like insane. Like, you don't get this experience on other higher dimensional planes of existence. They just don't have the depth because there's no contrast to it. And we have that contrast. And that is truly the beauty of being on this planet. And being able to find beauty in pain. To craft our pain in ways that help others. To craft our pain in ways that make life beautiful again. You know? Just because we've experienced pain doesn't mean we have to stay there. Doesn't mean that's all it's ever going to be. We have the power to use our pain to craft unimaginably beautiful and incredible things and experiences, and so much comes out of it. So if you made it this far, I hope that that's what you get out of this video, is that there is such a beauty to the depth of our pain, how deeply we can feel our pain, and how deeply we can feel love. The capacity we hold for love is a beautiful thing. And I don't want to ever take it for granted. And that's the one, honestly, I forgot everything I talked about besides the Skyrim analogy. I remember that because it was fun. But yeah, I hope that's what you get out of this, is that feeling your pain is okay. And you can turn it into something beautiful. It doesn't have to drag you down. It can be the thing that rises you up to the next level. Okay. I love ya. Talk to you tomorrow.